So we go into neutral. Let's have a feel of this low range. We push, we come back. It's 1:30 a.m. We've just cleared the trip meter. Where could we possibly be going? So there's no actual tow mode. We're going to tow in Sports S+. Towing the Jayco means we need to have power to keep that fridge cool. So what I've got here, I've got a 5 metre Anderson lead, and I've also got 2 wires in the conduit which will go to the trailer plug for the electric brakes. We'll start at the back here and we'll work our way towards the engine bay. One of the neatest under bonnet jobs I think I've ever done. I'm not sure if I'm getting better with age or if I'm just scared of such an expensive car that I've taken my time. But with all the covers on, you barely know I've been under here. Rad. So not only are the letters RAD Rochelle's initials, short for radical, but rad also means very good, cool, or exciting. The first drive here is so that the calibration can be done from the red arc. So while we were out, we took it down one of the big hills here in Maroubra, the one that leads down to the kids' school and the beach, then turn around and feel the power coming back up. We stopped halfway just to get a bit of a feel on the takeoff. Lots and lots of power. Okay, so that's what happens when you got a trailer on. It doesn't let you go, it thinks you're going to hit something. So what's the button we push? This one? Try again. Yeah, it's let me go back now. Alright, so I've got to remember that. Imagine I was stuck out in the bush. I didn't know how to do it. Wouldn't be able to go backwards. You know how I like reverse parking. So yeah, this is me every time we bring one of the bigger trailers home. I have to reverse it up the cul-de-sac. So whether it be the Jayco or the car trailer with bullet on it or off it. But since giving up the manual 79, I'm not going into low range anymore to try and back up the street with the autos. Both the 1GD auto and now this one, they're a pleasure to back the trailers up the street with. Mini bikes has been called off today because of the weather. Even though there is some blue sky out there, it rained all night. So we're going to drag the Jayco up north about an hour, hour and a quarter for lunch. Do a bit of a tow test, fuel economy test. So since we've had the car, 15.9 litres per 100 is what it's been doing. So obviously still quite new, getting used to it, pushing it that little bit, because those numbers are not what was on the sticker that Toyota gave us. So we'll give it a good run today with the Jayco in tow. What we're going to do, we're going to clear that so we can have a clear reading of what fuel we used today. The other thing we're going to do, see that little symbol there? We're going to disarm that by holding it in. So that's lane assist. It's basically all the things you don't want when you're towing. You do creep over to that white line. In this vehicle, it is quite an abrupt feel when it does correct you. Now that one there, that's off because we've got a caravan behind us and it won't let us reverse if it's on. So to reset that trip computer, we just hold in OK and then it goes back to 0. So there's no actual tow mode. We're going to tow in Sports S+. So what sports mode does, it customizes not only the steering, it makes the steering a little bit stiffer, and it customizes the accelerator and the suspension. So it's not actually a tow mode, but from what I've investigated, that's what you're towing. There is a custom setting, but I don't know the vehicle well enough yet to modify one up myself. But that's on the cards for sure. So we're coming up to what we call the Big Dipper. We used to dread coming up this as kids. You'd be back to third in the old Hiluxes. Coming down to it, the adaptive dampers are really, in Sports Plus mode, they're really helping the car hold. There's probably one thing I don't want to lose. If we do lift this car, you lose the adaptive dampers. But here we are, we're at the hill. We're at 110. I'm expecting to eat this hill. 700 Newton meters of power this thing's got. 10-speed gearbox. Just gone down a gear. We're still at 110, halfway up the hill. Yeah, we're gonna have to brake. We'll go up and around the outside, just so we don't have to slow down. 110, and I'm barely touching that accelerator, believe it or not. So I thought the gearing was good in the 79, the little 2.8, which is making it tow brilliantly. But I tell you, the gearing in this gearbox, you don't even feel the up change. We're coming up to the end of the hill and we didn't drop under 110. And I have to say, Shell, I'm sitting at 16.8 litres per 100. So it's pretty good numbers considering what we saw at the beginning of this video. And we got 2 tonne on the back. But I know you were pushing it. Impressive, really, really impressive. So what's in the class of this vehicle? So Nissan Patrol just passed us, and some of the reviews I've seen on that, I reckon it does a bit better, but it's a petrol and it's heavier. So it's got the weight in front of what it's towing. The other 2 vehicles that they talk about being in this class is the Land Rover and the Range Rover. And I really can't imagine, I can imagine a Land Rover hooking up a big Jayco and going off-road, but I just can't picture those fancy Range Rovers going on the dirt. I know they've got progressive suspension heights, but I'm just not sure the people buying those Range Rovers are people like me that will take this off-road and use the lockers.
Hey Dan, what about the time the Range Rover got stuck on Pebbly Beach?
I remember. I feel like we're cruising, we're sitting at 108 and I'm wondering what gear we're in. It doesn't show me up on the dash. If I flick it across to manual, we're in 8-speed. So whatever that torque converter's doing in there, whatever gear it's locking itself into, it's happy. It's really, really happy, and the ratios in there, I feel while it's a big, wide range of gears, they must be close together in that respect when it comes to gearing down. Now, after an awesome lunch with the family at Pete's Ridge Golf Club, a little overkill, says mother-in-law, bringing the caravan to lunch. But with this drive, we got to do a little bit of city driving, coming out of the city onto the freeway, some freeway driving and a couple of decent sized hills. And it also gave me a gauge on how this stock suspension may fare if we do decide to go up and rescue Bullet Truck from Mudgee. So what I did think of the suspension, and I've towed with many vehicles over the last couple of decades of competing. If you're not towing every day, I feel that this suspension setup from factory will do the job, especially towing something small like this Jayco. I wouldn't go and tow Bullet Truck every day with it without at least putting in some airbags. People are like, what's that guy with a caravan doing pulling out into the fast lane? What caravan? Effortless. I love it. Do you wanna swap? I'll give you a really good Auto 79. Never been off-road.
Never.
So good. .4 litres per 100. So what I saw this morning on some of the reviews is bigger van by a little bit. Best they were getting was 18 litres. So call it a little bit over 3 hours of driving. Pretty much loaded up as if we would go away. I didn't even drain the water out of the tanks. I wanted to do a proper test on it. Came in at 16.3 litres per 100. Have to keep an eye on that oil level for this upcoming run. It looks like it's just under the full. It's 1:30 in the morning. We're gonna zero this trip meter. Where could we possibly be going? Nothing in tow, but a fair bit of gear in the back. So in 10th gear, we're doing 110 at 1400 RPM, is it? Amazing. With power. Not sure if you can see on the camera, but through the glass there, I see the reflection of the speedo. It also tells me what speed I should be doing, plus a compass. I think that's pretty cool. Have a look at that for factory high beam. I mean, you wouldn't even need spotties. I can't explain how this car drives. It's glued to the road. It really is a driver's vehicle. Throw it into these corners, optimum control. You've got a beautiful car to drive. I'm only in normal mode, but I've deactivated some of the safety features like lane assist so we can take some wider lines. It's just so responsive to what you're asking of it. It feels more like a car than a 2.5 ton four-wheel drive.
Please obey all traffic regulations.
We need to work out how to get rid of that. If anybody has a 300 watching this, you can comment down below for us. Wow, coming down Mount Victoria, I tapped the brakes a couple of times and the 300's just doing its thing, holding us up with the gears. So it's quite helpful when the computer's telling you these sorts of things. But every time you drive through a school zone, it tells you you're approaching and departing. A little bit annoying. It's just so comfortable, the seating position, the seat, all the adjustments you've got in the seat, the steering wheel, even the distance between the steering wheel and the stalk for coming to and from high beam. Everything just feels perfect. The foot to brake, the foot to accelerator angles. It really is a driver's car. Good lighting, good vision across the dash, a beautiful sound system. But I guess that's what you expect from such a big dollar vehicle. All your bells and whistles. I can't wait to feel what low range is like. Maybe throw the lockers in. I have to say I'm a little nervous. Fuel consumption at the moment, a little under 9 litres per 100. And we've been going what? Almost 3 hours? Well, visibility's quite poor. I'm worried about hitting an animal too, so I'm not pushing as hard. The last thing I want, vehicle's not even a week old, is to ring Shell and say, you need a new bumper, hun? We're gonna be putting Bullet on a vehicle with no airbags. I think I do have a little bit of room to move Bullet back on the trailer just to take some of that ball weight off. So these 300s, the fuel tank's only 110 litres. It's a little disappointing. You've got 130 in the 79. I think you've got even more in the Troopies. We've got a burn going on. And again, in this vehicle, when it does happen, it just takes over the screen. It's like nothing else matters. So the burns are taking a lot longer on the freeway than they do in town, driving around the city. So the computer obviously knows that you're on the highway, you're doing big speeds, and it's doing a longer burn for some reason. And then when it knows it's in town, it'll do the burn a lot quicker. So I think Shell's officially named the Rad 300 Yeti. The 300 hasn't even met Bullet, hasn't even seen what Bullet looks like. I didn't have the camera on its stand, but we just had a really close call with a Wombat. So we'll drop speeds back. We're not long out of Mudgee, and it's 5:15. So there's that stretch from Mudgee across to Central West 4-wheel drive park on Hill End Road. We're really going to have to be on high alert on that road as far as roos and wombats. It's going to be right on dawn. I guess the car hasn't been turned off for well over a couple of hours, and I'm assuming that's why it's asking me if I want to have a break. Good suggestion there. So the two cup holders, I've just worked out that the coffee's the one on the left and then the water bottle on the right, because you haven't got the platform on this one to keep the coffee from going all the way down. Anyway, half an hour to go to the front gate. So in the 79, I can adjust the height of the headlight. So this one here, it does it automatically. Reached our destination. Have a look at those numbers. 9.6 litres per 100 to get from Maroubra to Mudgee. So the best the 79 did on that same trip was 11.5. So let's go down and introduce Yeti to Bullet. So we go into neutral. Let's have a feel of this low range. We push, we come back. Everything gets turned off. We've got cameras all around us. Go back into drive, first gear. Look at the cameras. It feels really good. I say let there be light, hey? So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and you've got to stay tuned for the next one. Subscribe and ring that bell, you don't want to miss it. We're going to put the 300 up the travel ramp. And as always, thanks for watching.